The unlockables and secrets found in Super Mario Kart are minimal, but nonetheless included in the game through meeting specific conditions. In order to unlock the special cup for Grand Prix, time trials, and match race, you will need to win the gold cup for the mushroom, flower, and star cup in the 100cc class. After earning gold, the special cup for 100cc, you'll be rewarded with 150cc, which you can complete at your heart's content. Once you get gold for every cup in 150cc and become a Super Mario Kart expert, you'll be given access to a code that can be inputted at the character selection screen. This code will not work when playing time trials or battle mode. Press A and Y at the same time, and watch as the character you have highlighted shrinks down in size. You can press the combination of buttons again to toggle this feature off. After selecting your tiny driver, select a cup or course, and you are now freely able to play the game under the conditions occurred from Peach and Toad's poison mushrooms or from the lightning item. Of course, being tiny will mean that most of your top speed will be lost, and any subtle contact with other regular-sized racers will flatten you dead in your tracks. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Year of Mario Kart. This is Nintendo 14. Today, here in Super Mario Kart, we're going to be tackling one of the toughest things you could possibly do in the game. As Yoshi, we're going to be racing in the Special Cup of the 150cc class. For those, this is the most difficult that you could possibly get in this game. And for multiple reasons. For one, since we're in the Special Cup, we're going to be facing our toughest tasks yet, such as the 5 of the most difficult tracks here in Super Mario Kart. And because we're playing as Yoshi, the poor handling, and I guess in some way the acceleration and the top speed, we can go with it. But mainly that handling, it's gonna be a big issue. And if I were to recommend a kart to use and a character to use in the Special Cup, I wouldn't recommend either Peach or Yoshi. It makes things really challenging, and you have to pretty much brake at almost every turn because of how poor Yoshi and Peach's handling are. But you know what? I decided to go with it because Peach and Yoshi's karts I haven't used at all in the entire playthrough, and I used all the better karts for this cup already. And so I needed to do one cup with Peach and Yoshi, and I decided to do it with the Special Cup. It's one heck of a cup to use Peach and Yoshi, but whatever. So this cup took me multiple tries to get gold because there are a few things that you can only be able to do once you have all the gold cups in all the classes, with some exception of 50cc. I don't think you need to beat 50cc in order to get everything. But with the Special Cup, also you're gonna need a lot of luck alongside with the amount of skill that you're going to need in order to get your first places. Because sometimes there's cases where skill's not going to be enough. I think in most cases, because of the CPUs throwing items at you and the rubber banding, that's going to be the reason that you're going to get some bad luck and you're going to be running over their items and effectively just putting you out of first place and digging yourself a hole that you got to climb out of in the later races. So thankfully, it's probably on my difficult track, which is Donut Plains 3 for this game. It's a fun track in the Mario Kart 8, but here in Super Mario Kart, it's a really difficult track, especially because I'm Yoshi. It makes especially in that track, there's a little boardwalk section. You literally have to hop just to make it through there. If you don't, then you have a chance in falling in the water. But I believe if you're at top speed, you'll be fine. But in other cases where you're not at full speed, then you're going to be falling in the water, losing a whole lot of time. And so just because of that, it's just one of those infamous tracks that not many people are very good at it, except for all the high-level Super Mario Kart players that have time trial records. But do I look like a guy holding time trial records for a game that came out 25 years ago? Nah, I don't think so. So anyways, here we are at another track that got brought back in a future game. This is Koopa Beach, I want to say 3 or 2. Annotations, correct me on that. So I think just like with this, just like with the last track, this is just one of those tracks where it's just so narrow and it's so easy to fall in the water. And when you fall in the water, you just lose so much time. And so And just this first half of this Grand Prix, it's just survival. I need to keep all my kart lives and just save all that for the last track that's going to be in this cup. And trust me, you're going to need all the attempts you need for that last track once we get there. But I'm getting some pretty okay finishes in these first two cups. I got third in Donut Plains 3, and I got second in Koopa Beach. I would have had first if I didn't get knocked into that green shell from Koopa. But here we are at, supposedly I thought this was going to be one of my better tracks in the Special Cup, the last Ghost Valley track. But just the simple nature of not executing and choking, when that happens to you, then all of your thoughts on just being good are just flushed down the toilet, because you can't do all the things you're supposed to be doing. And so you're just, instead of hitting this mark, you're hitting the wall and most of the time just falling off the track. Especially this turn right here. That's the money turn right there. If you're not able to line yourself correctly with the power line, or with the zipper, and hit that ramp, then you're pretty much doomed, because if you miss that zipper, like right there, then you lose all that time. You lose first, and you go all the way back to fourth. It's pretty mean, but it's a high risk, high reward turn to make at a specific angle. But it's a really fun thing to pull off, and I feel like that's my only shot at really winning this, because an alternative route to this particular turn right here, it's not really easy to make, because there's two halves of that little straightaway that's made up. The one's a pits, and then the other is the ramp. And it's really difficult to get to the ramp without hitting the zipper, because you're like, most of the times you have to hit the zipper. But thankfully, we're not going to just we're going to hit the wall a little bit, but still, it's good enough for a first place. And with the Special Cup, you're going to need a lot of first places, maybe at least one or two, because you're really going to need all the points you need, because mistakes are going to happen, and you're going to need to rely on good finishes like this first place as a way to keep yourself in this points race. So we're doing okay, I guess, for just being in the fourth race of the Special Cup. I mean, not as good as say I don't know, leading the points with a good amount of wins. But hey, we're second to Koopa by we're down by 5 points. So we got a little bit of ground to make up, and we also do need a couple things for us to go our way. So here in the Vanilla Lake 2, it's just a fun track overall. Both of these Vanilla Lake tracks, they just have so many narrow corners to make, and this one in particular, I think, in my opinion, the only way you can get around this track is just to stay in the very far left lane, which, even if it means just hopping over little cracks and essentially just cutting off parts of the track. They're really the ways I get around this track are pretty risky. But in my opinion, that's the only way you can get through this track, is to hop over certain gaps like that. And if you're just planning on, if you're ever thinking about just going through the middle lane of this track, then think again, because there's a lot of blocks and obstacles that are going to be in the way, and they're going to be the reason you're going to be spending a lot of time. So really, your only option is to just hug the left-hand lane like that, and hope that you don't fall into the water, just to make a good lap time. So that first place really stung us. We were right at the start-finish line, and yet we had to fall in the water and not do what we needed to do. And so now, going into the last track, it's the good old Rainbow Road, the first one ever to be made. We are now down, or not only that we need to win this race, but we also need Koopa to finish no better than third. Because entering this race, we are about, 5 points behind Koopa. That's not a good thing. So, and just because of that, I had, luckily, once we got to Rainbow Road, I had all my kart lives left. And so I had to use them all, because this is a very tough track to get around if you're not in first. And so, at this moment, so I'm not doing very good, especially with the handling. It's going to be very difficult to make it through traffic, including the handling. So let's go through use another tactic. let's get a lightning and let's just ride around and try and get to the last lap and just wait for the perfect opportunity to use the lightning. This is the same strategy I used for Donut Plains 3 and a track in the Star Cup. I think it was the Bowser Castle one. So yeah, thanks for the lightning. I'm able to just get bailed out on some really sticky situations like this. So just keep waiting. I think at this point it doesn't really matter where I'm at on the track. Just stay relatively close to everybody else. You know, don't get too far away from the leader. Just keep driving around the track and just play the waiting game. Just with this lightning, and you know, once it's the right time to strike, we use it, and we're gonna get past everybody, and hopefully we don't make any mistakes while the lightning is active, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. So this Rainbow Road, no other track like it has been brought back so many times, like in a recent game from now. So alright, enough about the Rainbow Road being brought back so many times. We're gonna use the lightning. Just go right past everybody like it was the ending of Speed Racer. Very important that we need to hit Koopa. Not only we need to get that first place, but now all eyes and focus are on that bottom screen. Can DK stay in front of Koopa? And he does. So now with Koopa in third, that means that me and Koopa are tied for first place. So what does that mean? A couple things. One, we could just simply be tied in points, or in my mind, you know, I win the tiebreaker because I finished first in the very last race, and you know that's better than what Koopa got in his last race. You just go by that, which is the same thing I used for my Mario Kart 8 birthday tournament, which I think it's still happening. Yeah, I mean, with more and more information we get on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then you know the better. But that's really a thing that I'm just having in my mind is, you know, what's going to happen to my Mario Kart 8 birthday tournament? Is it going to take place on the Switch, or am I still going to have it on the Wii U? Because there's two things that that could play out just because of this. On one hand, I could have it on the Wii U, but then there's the idea of that, you know, there's some people that could trade in their Wii U for the Switch. And then there's another hand where I could just have the tournament for the Switch, but then there could be some people that don't have the Switch and instead have the Wii U. So, if you guys are listening to this, you can leave some feedback on the comments, and you know, you can help me plan for the tournament. So, anyways, with that out the way, let's get back into this. We just tied with Koopa for first place in the Special Cup. I mean, it's not like a pure win, but you know, after about 3 hours of trying to get a Gold Cup and Special Cup, you know, we'll take what we can get. And so here we are in the credit scene. You know, got to give credit to all the people that made this game. All, I believe, 20 or 30 people that made this game. Yeah, back in the day, just it didn't take that many people to make a video game. But nowadays, I think it takes about 50 or 60, maybe even hundreds of people just to make one game. I know in movies it takes about 500 people, or however many people it is that you see in the credits. Just so many. But that's going to conclude the Super Mario Kart section of the Year of Mario Kart. Tune in next time for February, as we're going to be heading to the 64 bits and going to be playing Mario Kart 64 starting next week. Till then, see you guys later.